Hedge funds have indeed attacked AMC stock, and we're going to talk about how and why here in this video. What is their ultimate goal and how that will backfire on them, guys. We also need to talk about the information and the data that is coming out today that is moving the markets, that is sending AMC down about 3.5% again today. Go over the Ortex data, the Stocko tracker data, as well as the technical analysis, guys. So we have a jam-packed video for you here today. Hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you guys find value out of this video. And let's not waste your time. Let's get straight into it. So first things first, I do want to start with the data and all of the other things, and then I want to get into this whole hedge funds attacking AMC situation. So first and foremost, we did have data that came out today, and it was PPI, and PPI was not good. Wholesale prices rose 0.3% in November, more than expected despite hopes that inflation is cooling. We were expecting 0.2%, so that's still 7.4% on an annualized basis, and that is way too high. And the producer side of inflation tends to lead into the consumer inflation, right, CPI, because you know these companies, they don't want to take the profit hit. They tend to pass those costs on to consumers, which would be us that are buying the products and services that are made or provided for us. So that was not good, and it's had a very weird reaction in the markets today. The markets are up, they're down, but for a vast majority of the day, the markets have actually been in green territory. That is because here in about half an hour, you are going to have the Michigan Consumer Sentiment Survey, and we really want to see where are 5-year inflation expectations for consumers, because consumers, if they accept this inflation, then businesses will just keep raising prices, usually on a yearly or 6-month basis, and that will fuel into more inflation, making the Fed's job of, you know, getting inflation down harder, and the odds of a soft landing less and less likely. So I think this will be a massive catalyst here in about a half an hour, probably by the time some of you guys are watching this video. So if you guys are watching this video around 2 p.m., definitely I would watch the rest of it. But you want to see what those Michigan consumer sentiment numbers are, because if they are bad, boy, it could get pretty bad. And it's one of those things where potentially good news on the front of the consumer, right? If we hear consumers healthy, they're in good shape, and they have good outlooks for the next year, it might actually be a negative thing, right? Because the Fed does not want that to happen, and the inflation expectations, that's going to be the biggest part. Now, that's really it for the day. Next week is where things are going to get really jam-packed, because on Tuesday you are going to have the CPI that is coming out. You're expecting 6.2% CPI, and year over year you are expecting 7.6%, so that will be big. And then on Wednesday you are going to have the FOMC meeting, as well as a lot of other things, right? You're going to have the FOMC economic projections. You're going to have so many things that are going to come out next week. It's going to be unreal for the actual data that we're going to get. Like, it's going to be data overload next week, and you're going to get a very violent move. And that's partly what markets are doing today, is trying to set up for that, because, you know, Tuesday, Wednesday, that's pretty early into the week. Even Monday will have a couple things of data for us. And your best time to position for it is potentially today, guys. So there is all of that information. Now let's get into some of the data behind AMC. What is happening with this? Honestly, you could probably call it a short and distort attack. So with the Ortex data, the live short interest of free float is sitting at about 20%, 102.82 million shares that are sold short, indicating about 63,000 additional shares that are being sold short today. You are getting a cost to borrow average of about 24%, cost to borrow max at about 30%, and cost to borrow minimum at about 21.07%. You are seeing now, over the past couple of days, well over 1 million shares typically that are able to be sold short. And this is very interesting, because just not long ago there was 0 shares available to be sold short. So essentially, what has been happening, in my personal opinion, is you had this rumor come out. You guys can argue with me in the comment section or with other people, whatever. Maybe the restructuring was not about AMC Entertainment. Maybe it was not about AMC, the theater company. But the way it was construed, the market sold AMC off 10% that day. We were flat. I believe that was Tuesday, right? Tuesday or Wednesday. We were definitely Tuesday. We were flat on the day. By the end of the day, the last 2-3 hours of trading, we lost 10% because these rumors were circulating. So no matter if it's on AMC or not, it's the rumors that have really caused this instability in the stock and the sell-off to ensue. For an example, hedge funds, they put out this rumor. They put out this bullshit about AMC, which is obviously not true. The business is in a much better fundamental spot than it has been in quite a long time. Put out this rumor. Then what do you see happening? The stock starts to fall. Market makers start to short the stock. They start to freak out retail investors. Hedge funds with short positions, they are loving it. But what they do then is they start to say, hey, we got shares available to be lent out. And that starts to push down the cost to borrow rates, which are fluctuating, right? They're usually adjustable rate. So you've seen the cost of borrow rates go from excess of 40% back here on November 30th. I mean, now you're down to 21.5% is the live reading that we are getting, because now hedge funds feel more comfortable lending out 1 million shares when you have this downside pressure on the stock, and that is helping hedge funds to make it so it's not as much interest that they're paying out. It's harder for them to actually get squeezed out of their positions. But what do we know about short and distort attacks? Eventually, it will come out that this is not true. AMC is in a good situation, at least better than where they have been in a while, especially if next earnings are very good. That is where you could potentially see all of these shorts caught offsides because they thought they were home free due to this short and distort attack. So, you know, when I boil this down, in the short term, it could mean more pain for the stock. It could mean retesting or flirting with the lows of 2022. Just the data alone, and Fed Jerome Powell next week, CPI, Michigan Consumer Sentiment today. These factors could alone push AMC down. But once you actually get more positive news that reaffirms that this was wrong, maybe it's even a buyout at this point. Who knows? Definitely at less than $6 a share. It seems to be good value there if you can get the company to actually make a profit, in which I think they're doing next quarter. Nonetheless, I think there's still a lot more positive tailwinds here for AMC, and short and distort attacks only last so long, but they can be quite red and quite painful when they are here. But what happens on the other side of them when they turn out not to be true? You tend to get ferocious rallies that can last weeks, if not those rallies can hold up for months, guys. So I think that is very important to clarify for all of you guys. As far as the option activity for the day, 24 orders totaling $11.41 million and positive order value of 8%. This is not another byproduct of the short and distort attack that we have been seeing. Essentially, a lot of people are doubling down on options, on put options, which is helping to drive down the stock of AMC. As far as the Stocko tracker data for this week, you only have 303 calls. 303 calls that are in the money for December 9th. For out of the money calls, you're sitting at 138,000. So you're just wildly offsets here. So if the Michigan Consumer Sentiment survey, which will be coming out in about 15 minutes now, is positive, well, that could send up the markets and AMC, some of your shorted stocks, a lot. And just these ratios here are, I mean, just saying them is almost like, is that correct? Because it's almost unbelievable. There's only 303 calls that are in the money and 148,000 calls that are out of the money. Nonetheless, pretty much the same story for next week, December 16th. You have about 1,400 calls that are in the money and 211,000 calls that are out of the money. And depending how next week goes with the Fed, with CPI, that's what could really give this rally another leg to the upside and could really help turn around a lot of these stocks that have been getting beaten down over the last couple of days and couple of weeks, guys. So next week is going to be, I think, the week where things could turn around for AMC if the data does entertain it. Now, as far as AMC on a technical basis, are under the 50-day moving average, so the situation has turned bearish. The level that I really want to watch is around $6 per share. We're under that here today at $5.87 per share. It is possible that we close above $6. That would be a very good sign, but the next level we need to watch is around $5. We want to watch to see if we break under to test a new low for 2022, or if we find support around $5 and can make our way back to the upside. And just let me tell you, if next week is bullish, if the Fed is bullish, if CPI is bullish, it would be no problem getting back these losses that we have seen and turning those into gains. As far as volume, the volume has not really been higher than usual, right? You're not seeing a big volume spike on these sell-offs, so that is also leading me to believe that there is a lot of coordinated shorting activity that is happening at these levels, guys. Especially ever since FTX did declare bankruptcy, the situation has gotten weirder and weirder by the day. So that is basically going to be it. Gonna go ahead and take a look at the Michigan Consumer Sentiment Survey. It comes out about 10 minutes. We will be reporting on it to you guys here in the next video, so stay tuned for that one. In the meantime, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, source your comments, questions, or concerns down below in the comment section. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next one.